Hello everyone, I'm Kevin Piland. Thank you for joining us. Now, I came across the story this morning on Facebook about a reporter who dropped the F-bomb at a TV station out in Alaska. But this one was different. You see, she admitted that she owned a marijuana company, so to speak, and she did a report on it. But because she was the owner, she had to admit it on live television. But when she did, she stated that she felt that she had no choice, but said, "F it, I quit." I would show you the video, but I'm sure many of you have already seen it on YouTube, so I'm not going to worry about it that much. But I do remember when the guy AJ used the F word once, and I featured that one on my show at one time, and I gotta say, some people just don't learn. He did, though, but thousands of others would probably just be like, you know what, screw it. But now you've got rumors going around saying she was terminated. Technically speaking, when you use inappropriate language on the air, you can get terminated. However, in her case, she stated, "F it, I quit." She technically quit the job. She didn't get fired, she quit. But now there's a Facebook page saying, "Tell this TV station that you can't fire them if they quit." Even I don't understand why half of what happens or what you hear about is a rumor that you never even knew was spread to begin with until later. It's like, I really wish that the personnel matters stayed in the studio, not come out to the viewers, with the exception of an apology. Why do they tell the viewers that the reporters have lost their jobs? That just doesn't make sense. There's no need for that. To me, that's their personal business, not ours. We did not call the TV stations to say, "Hey, we don't want to hear the bad language," to be nosy. We did not do that. We did it because we were offended ourselves as people in general. They can suggest that the person get fired, but the person should say, "Well, I'll look into that. We'll do something about it." The reason I brought that up is because one reporter from New York actually used the F word at one time, and she too was featured on my show. Only at that time I made a mistake of putting down it was a Fox station when in fact it was an NBC station. But the good news in that case was she apologized herself. So why aren't they doing the same thing for the other reporters who may have done the same thing? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't mean it. It's not like they chose to offend somebody for no reason. That just wouldn't make any sense at all. And just a moment ago, before I decided to start talking about the F word incident that I read about on Facebook, I also discovered that the teacher was caught up in a different kind of sexually explicit message. Only this time, she wasn't the one sending the messages to the student was sending the message to her. But yet, that student never actually attended the school in question. It was a Catholic school, but the teacher did the right thing and reported that student to the principal. I credit her for that because she wants to keep her job. You know? I gotta say, no teacher should have to see something like that. The real question is, how did the student even get the teacher's Facebook page to begin with? I'm thinking, were they Facebook friends at one time, or did something else happen that caused it? The private messages on Facebook aren't necessarily private in some cases, and that was one of them. If you're going to send a private message, at least use your common sense and say, hey, there are certain things that don't belong on there. Do I take my own advice? Oh yes, I do, because I care about people. Meanwhile, in Abilene, where I'm from, a bar was broken into over the weekend. 2 money bags were stolen, and as well as some other furniture like TVs and all that other stuff that you would normally see in a bar. You start to wonder why they even break into those places to begin with. Are they just bored? Do they not have a job because nobody wants to hire them? Which is quite possibly the reason why people are breaking in these places, because they don't have jobs, because nobody wants to hire them. And then when they do get hired, somebody else will cause the same problem. We need to get rid of the problem, not have the same problem repeat after itself with different people at different times, getting arrested for the same thing. You have car burglaries, home burglaries, you have bank robberies. Most likely they'd rather rob a bank than to go to a restaurant and rob somebody. Although a few times the restaurants here in Abilene have been robbed. Whataburger was robbed, Subway was robbed several times. I got to thinking, if they're gonna figure out a way to prevent the robberies from taking place, they might as well have never accepted the 50s and 100s. The banks don't have that much of a choice. They have to keep the 50s and 100s because a lot of times people don't have anywhere else to break them. And that's what's causing the robberies. But the reality is, some people may need a certain amount of money over time. If all we allowed were 20s, as far as the highest bill in question would be given out, say you need 100, they'll give you like 5 20s, because that's all it takes, is 5 20s. Imagine how many 20s it would take to make more. I always think about how some people don't seem to care about whether or not people like us want to work or not, Hmm. But then again, that's not usually what I want to talk about on my show to begin with anyways. I guess you could say I'm out of ideas. I'll have more on tomorrow's show. If not a few days later. Who knows? Even if I'm not on it every day, chances are I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. But a lot of times that doesn't always happen. The reason I say this is because, well, even people like myself would run out of ideas. Thank you for watching the show.